I mean, the common denominator here is Donald Trump, and Democrats are on the precipice of delivering a huge blow to Donald Trump in his second term. Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat, up by 6 points. Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, up by 10. And Zohran Mamdani, up by 16 points in New York City. But the key common component is they are all going after Donald Trump. And all the Democrats lead, from New Jersey to Virginia to New York City, they all lead the Republican and independent opponents.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
It's one thing when early voting shows dramatic Democratic turnout. It's another when even Fox News are out here airing messaging from the former president that has been living rent-free in Trump's head since he came upon the scene.
Our country and our politics are in a pretty dark place right now. It's hard to know where to start, because every day this White House offers up a fresh batch of lawlessness and recklessness and mean-spiritedness and just plain craziness.
I can't say it's been a Monday to remember for the current president. First, CNN's Harry Enton discussed the margins on the upcoming elections in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York, in which the Democratic candidates, while sharing differing views across the board, have unified on one core message, and that is Trump is disastrous for the country, and it's resonating with voters, apparently.
Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat, up by 6 points. Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, up by 10. And Zohran Mamdani, up by 16 points in New York City. The bottom line is this. Yes, there are ideological differences between the Democrats, but the key common component is they are all going after Donald Trump. And all the Democrats lead, from New Jersey to Virginia to New York City. They all lead the Republican and independent opponents.
How much is he impacting the cases? Never mind that they want to beat him. In their minds, it's sort of like, hey, this is to show you that we can beat you. But how much is he affecting you?
I mean, look, Donald Trump is a huge drag in all of these races. Look at his net popularity ratings. In New Jersey, he's 11 points underwater. Virginia, 14 points underwater. Not much of a big surprise in New York. He's 35 points underwater. And I will note nationally in my aggregate of polls, he's about 13 points underwater. In our CNN poll, he's way below that, which looks a lot like New Jersey, a lot like Virginia. So these races, in my mind, could be huge bellwethers going into next year to understanding how Donald Trump is impacting these races. He is a huge drag in across the board, New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City.
Do these races tell us anything about the midterm as to what happens here and what might happen in the midterm?
Yeah, okay. So, I was mentioning, of course, Donald Trump being a huge drag, right? He's at his second term lows, not just in our CNN poll, but across the different polls that we were looking at this weekend. And why is it that these races are so important? Well, go back through history, jump in that DeLorean. Look at what has happened when Democrats sweep New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia governor. They won the U.S. House the next year 5 out of 5 times in the last 90 years. You go all the way back to the FDR administration. So the bottom line is this. When Democrats do well in these off-year elections, when they sweep New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City, historically speaking, that means they go on to win the U.S. House of Representatives the next time around. And when we're in this national polarized environment and Donald Trump is as unpopular as he is, I think that history is likely to hold if, in fact, Democrats do sweep tomorrow, which at this point looks more likely than not.
We will have to see. We also have some new polling numbers also that makes Democrats not look so good. So it's kind of like wondering whether this historic norm will stay as per usual.
And that, my friend, is why we go 365 years to find out what happens next year.
Messaging that was echoed by former President Barack Obama, first at a rally in Virginia where he campaigned for Abigail Spanberger while simultaneously prosecuting the case against Donald Trump and the MAGA faction, saying, quote, and the Republicans in Congress, they're not even pretending to solve the problem. They have not even been showing up to work. That can't be true because Mike Johnson seems to be losing sleep all the time, apparently.
People keep commenting to me, you look so tired on TV. I am so tired because we're not sleeping a lot. We're working overtime.
Working overtime? Last I checked, House Republicans haven't called their members in for a working day since September 19th. We were supposed to be in D.C. voting these past 4 weeks, but instead Speaker Johnson has closed the House of Representatives, refused to negotiate with Democrats, extended this shutdown, and has done nothing to resolve the healthcare and food crisis they created. But he has the nerve to say he's tired? Tired from what? Obeying Trump's every order? Yeah, I think we're all tired of that.
Our country and our politics are in a pretty dark place right now. It's hard to know where to start because every day this White House offers up a fresh batch of lawlessness and recklessness and mean-spiritedness and just plain craziness.
He continued his messaging into New Jersey and directly tied the election to Trump's leadership.
Inspiration, because let's face it, our country and our politics are in a pretty dark place right now. So it is. It is.
Both of which were covered and even tweeted about, minus hyperbole and ad hominem, by Fox News of all places. You know, the same Fox News that has traditionally been Trump's state-owned media. And this is bound to rattle an already defensive Trump, right?
But from the very start, there was another story, born of this nation's true revolutionary spirit. A story that says we the people means what it says, that all of us are included, that we are not subjects, we are citizens, defined not by race or religion or gender or sexual orientation, but by our commitment to a common creed and a willingness to accept not just the privileges, but the responsibilities that come with that citizenship. That's what made the American experiment unique. Through generations of struggle and sacrifice, through the faith of abolitionists and the struggle of suffragists, through a civil war and civil rights protests, through union organizing drives and government reforms and investment in public education, we moved closer to those founding ideas. And in the process, we inspired the world. And that's the story I believe in, Virginia. I believe in an America in which we all deserve equal protection under the law and nobody is above the law. I believe in an America where every child has a chance at a good education and anybody who's willing to work and find a job or start a business and make a decent living. An America where opportunity isn't just reserved for those who were born into privilege or happen to have the right connection. I believe in an America where we don't fear each other, but look out for each other.
Let alone his safe space out here showing the messaging from the opposition at a pivotal moment where many expect to see a referendum on Trump's leadership. At least that's what the polls show, right? The latest CNN SSRS poll paints an even starker picture for Trump and the GOP. Registered voters favor Democrats 47% to 42% in the generic congressional ballot. Meanwhile, Trump's approval rating, well, it stands at a mere 37%, his lowest of the term, while his disapproval is up at 63%. What's more is that 67% of Democrats and Democratic leaners report being, quote, extremely motivated to vote.
The approval rating right now, John, sits at 37%. That is a low mark in this term for Donald Trump. His disapproval is at 63%. That's a high mark for his entire time as president, first and second term combined. I will say Democrats and independents fleeing him, of course, Republicans still with him, which is why we'll see him doing these tele-rallies tonight for the Republican candidates for governor. Take a look over the course of this year. You'll see down here, mid-February, late February, he was at 47-48% approval. That was a honeymoon period after the election. He's now been steadily going down all year long. Why? One of the reasons why it seems is that the American people think he's gone too far when using presidential power. 61% say so, way up from February. And deporting undocumented immigrants, 57% of Americans in this poll, John, say that he has gone too far in doing that. And in fact, he said just the opposite on 60 Minutes last night.
You know, David, a great man, called this poll sort of a mood ring for the country. And it does seem that voters are saying they're in a pretty bad mood.
They are. It's a pretty sour American electorate out there. 32% of Americans say things are going well in the country, John. 68% say they're going badly. This is clearly driven in large part by the economy, which is by far and away the most important issue for Americans. 47% say economy, cost of living, top issue. 26% say state of democracy. 10% say immigration. 7%, crime and safety. And so what does that mean in terms of Trump's policies affecting the U.S. economy? Well, 61% of Americans say they've worsened the American economy. Only 27% say Trump's policies have improved the economy, John.
What's clear is supporters of the GOP are showing fatigue, whereas Democrats seem to be chomping at the bit to have their message be heard. And it's not like things are looking cohesive on the GOP side either, with the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene making too much sense to the point where I'm wondering whether my morning coffee is being spiked.
Let's take, for example, this $40 billion bailout for Argentina. That's probably one of the grossest things I've ever seen. And I have no idea who is telling our great president, our America First president, that this is a good idea. Because it's a punch in the gut to all of our American cattle ranchers, and they are furious, and rightfully so. And at the same time, I can't think of another country that's further away from the United States of America than Argentina. It's literally at the bottom of South America in the Southern Hemisphere, and we're all the way up here at the top. I don't know how that's America first.
And then there's the likes of Rand Paul sounding the alarm on the lack of oversight when it comes to this administration's decisions to just bomb boats out in the Caribbean and the Pacific.
Start with you, Senator Paul. What do you need to hear in a briefing? What questions do you have?
You know, it's not so much about a briefing, but we haven't had a briefing. To be clear, we've got no information. I've been invited to no briefing, but a briefing is not enough to overcome the Constitution. The Constitution says that when you go to war, Congress has to vote on it. And during a war, then there's a lower rules for engagement. People do sometimes get killed without due process, but the drug war or the crime war has typically been something we do through law enforcement. And so far, they have alleged that these people are drug dealers. No one said their name. No one said what evidence. No one said whether they're armed. And we've had no evidence presented. So at this point, I would call them extrajudicial killings. And this is akin to what China does, to Iran does with drug dealers. They summarily execute people without presenting evidence to the public. So it's wrong.
Things are pretty terrible. It's no other way to put it. And it's no surprise that Democratic voters are feeling energized.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.